We have come to that time where we want to start applying some textures to our model to add the final touches to bring it to life. So I wanted to just take a quick little tour through the photos to start to get an idea of what textures we want to be looking for. We've got some concrete on the floor. We've got the water of the pool. We've got what looks to be like travertine, some sort of travertine tile up here, and it's divided up into big squares. Then we've got this kind of large-scale mosaicked stone tile. Let's keep looking here. This looks to me like some sort of plaster work, like some sort of stucco plaster. And then we have tiny mosaic tiles down below. Anodized metal here for the windows. We've got two different types of glass. We've got clear. We've got this semi-translucent. I'm gonna keep looking. This little piece down below is a little darker, so we'll probably want to delineate that. Yeah, so what I want to do, and I actually took a photo, so we'll use this photo as an example of making your own material from a picture you take. But I wanted to just take some time to see what textures we can get straight out of SketchUp, what textures we can edit out of SketchUp, and then what textures we need to go find on our own. Okay, so let's start with within the model, the textures that we can easily make or easily get right out of SketchUp. First things first, let's go ahead and turn off the roof. So I'm pulling the layers window open, and I am unchecking roof so that roof goes away. All right. Easiest one that I can think of right off the top of my head, just to get it out of the way, is the water. So I'm going to hit B for bucket, or I'm going to pull up my materials palette. I think the easiest way is just to hit the bucket tool. And I want to look at what colors. The first thing I want to look at is what colors do I have in my model. So I always want to make sure that I'm home. So you check on that little home button. I know this is going to look slightly different on a PC. So I'm going to have to proceed now using my interface because I'm working on a Mac. And if there are questions about the differences, we can certainly try to go over them. But for the sake of time, we'll just proceed, and it's not terribly different on a Mac. All right, I can see here that I've already got several colors imported. Most of these colors are the result of the fact that this model here, this scale figure that came preloaded, has all of these colors contained in it. So that's why all of these preloaded colors are here. This is the default color texture that everything starts out. So when you make a new shape, you always get this cream white color on the bottom, and then on the top, and then on the underside you get the kind of grayish lavender color. Our plan has been made into a texture now because we exploded this. So if you ever bring in a JPEG and then explode it, you'll be able to see that as a material. We did that in the first SketchUp class when we worked on the residential model. Let's open up the translucent. I think it's changed slightly here. So let me look out. You know what? In the newest version of SketchUp, we actually have one whole section just dedicated to water. And I can see right here that this is going to be the one that is already translucent. The rest of these are going to be solid opaque. So I'm going to click on the translucent one, and I'm going to apply it to the top of the pool. And I'm fine with that texture. I don't care if it tiles a lot. And maybe what I'll do is I'll turn down the opacity a little bit. So what I'm going to do I'm not going to turn the opacity or do any of my editing within the actual texture folder for the for the home textures, I should say, or the textures that are already built in. I'm going to go to the actual texture that's in my model, and I'm going to select that texture, right click on it, and edit it. Here's where I can control the opacity of that. And here's also where I can control the tiling. So if I want this to be 16 feet tiled instead of 8, I can go ahead and do that here. All right, so I brought my opacity down just a little bit. I can go ahead and close that. All right. So what's next? What's another easy one? Obviously, the glass is going to be pretty easy to do here because that's just a little bit of color with a little bit of transparency. So I'm going to go now to glass and mirrors. It used to be under translucent. They've changed it now to glass and mirrors. And what I typically do is I start with the really basic kind of like light blue glass, and I'll just paint, whoops, I painted the whole group. Let me go ahead and open that up. I'll apply it. I'm going to open this up because this is all one group. I'm going to apply this to one pane of glass. Okay. Now right out the gate, nothing looks to me more unrealistic than super, super, super blue glass. Unless you want in the design, you actually want the glass to be that blue. It just reads straight up default right out of the program to me, and it's obviously not very accurate. So I always edit this. I always go in and I drop the opacity down, and then I go to my color wheel and I try to bring it a little somewhere into the like grayer, whiter zone. Okay, so this is my translucent glass. I can even change the name of this if I want. So I'll just call this translucent glass and then close. Okay. Now, I'm going to go in and I'm going to go ahead and, if I look at those pictures again, let's get that elevation up. Okay. Notice how this whole section up above is more opaque, a little more frosted, and then these are all clear. So I want to focus on what's clear first. So basically just like coloring in a coloring book, I'm going to open this up, select my translucent glass, and then just apply it to that whole group. It's pretty easy on this one because the group is just basically a rectangle or a square. And all the way up. Okay, now I've got to work on the ones that are a little bit more frosted. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to duplicate this material. So I right click on it and I hit duplicate. And I'm going to change this, instead of calling it translucent glass blue copy, I'm going to call this frosted glass. So on frosted glass now, I'm going to edit that by right clicking, and I'm going to just take the opacity way up. And I'm also going to bring the color slider more into the white zone. Close. So let's see how that works. Go ahead and open this, choose my frosted glass, and just go down the line. I could even, if I want, just select all at once and apply it all to all of them that are selected. Okay, I'm liking that. That's working. So now I'm just going to do the same thing on this other side. I'm going to open these up, select all the way across, and just get that whole top bunch and make those the frosted glass. Do the same thing at the bottom. I'm going to select all the glass planes at once using my select tool, just dragging across, and apply the translucent glass to the bottom. Last but not least, I just have to get my doors. So I'm going to open the door up, select the glass, keep that group closed, and then activate my paint bucket and apply the glass to it. And notice I don't have to go in and do that to these because these are all components. So if I open this up and apply a material within the component, it's going to happen to all of them. Okay. We're just about ending all of the in-material textures that will work. The only other texture that I want to apply to this now that I can find easily within this within SketchUp is on the roof. So if I go to my window layers and bring layers back and turn the roof back on, let's go ahead and hide this wall just so we can see what's going on. Okay. If you look at the pictures, you can see that there's a series of lines for this material here. So and it's all painted white. I like that in SketchUp they have a patterns option, and one of them is basic black lines. So if I click this onto this material, I have to get nice and close to see that it's really, really, really small in terms of how many lines they have. So I'm going to have to go back to my home again, right click on this and edit it, and it needs to be way bigger. Right now the width is only 1 inch. Let's make it 4 and see how that looks. It's looking a little better. I want to really see it, so I'm going to make it 6. close. Okay, so now when I have my select tool and I pan down and I get down towards the floor, I can see that I've got all of those lines working across the top of my ceiling, which is exactly what I want. Okay. Okay, now it's time to go on a hunt and start finding some materials out in the world.